Hello, people of Earth. How are you doing today? We are talking about a show on Hulu. I'm gonna scoot a little forward. So, I got a credit card, right? And that means I can go get the free trials on all the subscription services and then cancel it right before the expiration or whatever, because you know how they make you put in your credit card information because they want you to forget or like the service, so they just require your credit card information. And I got a credit card and I got Hulu. I am using the Hulu free trial right now, and the reason I did that was because there's a show called, I'm gonna scoot over here, Love, Victor, and I saw ads for it on Instagram, and it looked really good. Have I seen Love, Simon? No. Have I read the book, Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda? That was the inspiration for the movie Love, Simon. No. But Love, Victor looked really good. And here's the thing, even though I haven't seen Love, Simon, I already like Love, Victor better. So I don't know how to feel about that. Better lighting. So I'm gonna get into it right now. The first episode of Love, Victor, it feels detached from like the rest of the series. It's like, what, 10 episodes long, right? And the first episode and like the episode where Victor goes to New York to like talk to Simon are like, they feel detached from the rest of the show, because the first episode, there's so many cliches with like young adult media, right? And like the characterization of people from like just a couple of things like that really don't matter. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, she's like, trying to think words. I don't remember anyone's name, but the girl that's into Victor, Mia, it took so long for me to find her name. So Mia is like all branded as like the popular girl, and her best friend, and apparently everyone only has one best friend. I see that a lot in like teen movies, teen media. Like, most people have like a group. They don't have just one best friend. For the most part, I feel like in middle school you have one best friend, but I know that for everyone has different experiences. My experience is that I had like one best friend, and then in high school I had a group, like an actual group. But everyone has only one best friend. That's just kind of weird. And she's the supposed popular girl, and she has like one like close friend. That's kind of weird. The first episode makes it seem like no one has any depth and they're just like this caricature. But as the show progresses, they have so much, and they're past their words. I'm trying to think. Their personalities and like their childhood. Oh, whoa, my hair got really big. Anyway, so it just feels like they tried. The first episode feels like it was written by a different person than the rest of the show, or a different group of people, because it's like so cliched, and I didn't like that, just because in high school there are like popular people, but it's not the popularity that you see in teen media, because in high school there's two types of popular. I was talking to my friend about this the other day. Shout out to you, Caitlin. There's the popularity where you're just nice to everyone, and everyone knows you in your little class of 400 people. How many people are in your class? Like, almost everyone knows you just because you're super nice to everyone. The second kind of popular in high school is like the infamous kind, where like people, like, word on the street is you did this bad thing and you did this bad thing, like you did this scandal, you did that scandal. It's not the kind of, and it's infamy. Like, no one likes you, really, and if they do, they're aware of that. You know what I mean? I hope this comes across right. So, to me, there's two kinds of popular. Either you're super nice to everyone and people know you for that, but and the second kind is that you are infamous, right? To me, those are the two kinds of popular in high school, and they're not represented in teen media very well for some reason, and it's kind of disappointing. So, in this show, as much as I like it, does have that, like, cliche that, like, everyone knows this girl Mia, but there's not really a real reason for it. It's not that she's nice to everyone or she's infamous. It's just, she's just popular because she's popular. And she doesn't even have, like, a group of friends. And it's just assumed that everyone knows her and is like, ooh, like, she's into you and she's like you, oh, you're dating her. Like, I don't, like, she's really pretty and she seems nice. It's just like, why? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And then there was something else. Oh, and then we have the stereotypical in teen media, especially like in the past couple years, there's like the obsessive best friend that's like really obsessed with the main character and just really wants attention. Either this was like in that show, I'm Not Okay With This. I can make a whole rant about that show. God, I hated that. And it's like it's either the obsessive boyfriend or the obsessive best friend. I don't know why that's becoming a trope in teen media. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why? Because people aren't like that in real life. I know that, like, some people are, like, I've been that person where, like, they're really putting all of their energy into a friendship or relationship, and it's very, very clear that it's unhealthy. Like, I feel like for Felix, the best friend of Victor, he's like super obsessed with Victor and their friendship, but he's like, over the show, we realize that he's just kind of obsessed with everything that he likes, or everyone that he enjoys spending time with. So I think that's a little bit excused. It's just like the first episode makes it seem like he's only obsessed with Victor, and it's like, are you okay? Like, are you good? And then we have Mia's best friend, Lake, and again, like, in the first episode, she's like supposed to be like the gossip girl who like has the Creek Secrets website or whatever. She's like taking pictures and writing articles for that, which I just think is weird. Like, I get that her mother, there's like the whole context that her mother is like a newswoman, and it's kind of her way of like going into her footsteps, but it's like, there's a huge difference between being a like news broadcaster and then uploading personal drama publicly in your high school community. That's just weird. Like, that's like comparing mainstream like TV to a YouTuber, basically, right? Or an Instagram model. That it's not a comparison. It's just not. It's not. And I don't think it's following in her footsteps. I think it's just like, why? And then over time, like, I guess throughout the show, it starts to like have less and less pertinence. I think that's the word. I just don't. I see that a lot in teen media as well, like where there's a website where everyone posts their like what's going on and stuff, and it's not the school website. It's like kind of the Slap and Victorious or Creek, the Creek Secrets website. It's just, to me, it's just weird because like we have social media, like we have other ways of finding out publicly if something's going on. We have Twitter. You know what I mean? It's just kind of weird to me. I get that helps set up stuff for the show, but at the same time, as I said, why couldn't they just do that on an app that already exists? Anyway, I don't really want to talk about the first episode for this whole video, so I'm just going to move on. There are some really major themes in this show that are explored in a very different way, and that's why I like this show, even though I do recognize the flaws. I do recognize there's some weaknesses in the writing, and there's the 2 out of 10 episodes, which is what, 1/5, 20% of the show, I don't really, it's not my favorite, but the other 80% I do like, so yeah. The main themes are being yourself, very typical for teen media, saying the truth and the consequences that come with saying the truth, and then 3, how being yourself and saying the truth, like I'm reading my notes, aren't always in alignment because you're trying to figure out who you are, and your past version of yourself wouldn't do the things that wouldn't do the things that you're doing in your current self. Do you know what I mean? So basically what I'm gonna like elaborate on that. It's just being yourself and trying to find out who you are, like they conflict, because past versions of yourself did things that you currently don't approve of, like or you currently wouldn't do, or you currently through the growth of those experiences realize that wasn't for you. Like for Victor, when he realized he was gay, but he kissed Mia and he realized that wasn't for him, but at the time that he was with her, didn't know that that was for him, you know what I mean? And stuff like that happens throughout the show, and I really appreciate that, just because I feel like that's such a topic that's not really explored. I do think that I'm gonna elaborate even more, lucky you. In the show Atypical on Netflix, it's one of my favorite shows. The main character is, the main character's sister is, spoiler for that, bisexual. And she cheats on her boyfriend with this other girl, and she clears the air with her boyfriend, and then they're fine. And then the parents in that show, the wife cheated, right? And in this show, it's this kind of the same way, except that the main character is gay, and he still cheated. You know, he kissed the other dude and didn't tell Mia right away. And then the mom cheated on the husband, right? And to me, I just don't like I understand that these things happen, that people do cheat when they're dating someone. Not everyone, obviously, but it happens, right? It's not super uncommon, but it's not like the norm, you know what I mean? And I don't like that there's that in two shows about like finding out who you are, the main character, the person who is exploring their sexuality, like cheats on who they're dating to kind of find out who they are or what they want or who they want. And then they have the duel of the parents cheating. To me, it sends kind of a mixed message, because it's like there's a stereotype in LGBTQIA+ where being bisexual, myself, or at least I'm trying to find out who I am, but right now that's the label I'm using, is bisexual. I'm not straight. Whatever, that's not part of this video. I'm not straight, and as someone who identifies as bisexual, there is this stereotype in the community and to the world that bisexual people, like, they cheat. And I get that the main character in Love Victor's not gay, but we don't know that yet, technically, right? We think he could be bi for all we know, because he's figuring himself out, right? And then there's like the shadow of the parents, the one person, that relationship cheated. And for both of these characters in these two different shows. And there's something about that just kind of doesn't sit right with me. It gives me a really weird feeling, because there is this stereotype that bisexual people cheat, and I get that the main character is not bisexual. I'm just saying that in this part of the show, it's not like crystal clear yet, because he could be bi, and he's just figuring himself out. And then he figures out that he's gay. The fourth theme is lying and the consequences, and how lying and liars, how it can get really bad really fast. If you don't say your truth, if you don't say your piece, it can be really bad. And the whole show, the reason why Victor's family moved from Texas to Georgia was because of lies. It was built like on lies. Like the rest of the family, the kids didn't know why they moved. They thought it had to do with a job, but it really didn't. So the reason that the main characters, the characters that we're really interested in, the reason why they're there, they don't even know, because based off lies told off the parents, and then eventually the truth comes out, like, hey, we moved here because of this and that. And it's also saying how, like, the truth has a way of coming out in intentional and non-intentional ways, and those are the four major themes. I'm gonna talk about the characters now. No, I want to talk about the soundtrack. The soundtrack, chef's kiss. Phineas, Billy's brother, had a lot of songs in this. I really like I Lost a Friend by Phineas. It's a really good song, let me tell you that. That's my secret. It's a really good song. It's not a secret, but it's a really good song. My hair bounced back. So, I'm gonna bounce back like a boomerang. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of JoJo Siwa. I've been watching a lot of her YouTube videos. Anyway, so the soundtrack's really good because it feels like, unlike Netflix, it feels like they actually listen to teen music, or they actually like listen to our music, because I'm a teenager. So that it felt like whoever made the soundtrack knew about what teens are interested in, or what the like demographic for this show is, and like actually listens to it. Because Isaac Dunbar, I made a review a long time ago of his EP. He came out with an album. I didn't do a review of that just because it's a lot of work to do a music review. and I can't play as much of the songs as I would want to. And he's kind of an up-and-coming artist. I remember when he had like 1,600 followers, and he's got a lot more, and actually people are starting to recognize him as he keeps putting out more and more music, because his music is really good. Like, it's really good. And not a lot of people know about him. And he made a song for this show called God This Feels So Good, or God This Feels Good. And it's really good. They had Conan Gray in there with Maniac. It just felt like whoever made the soundtrack is either my age, or they seem to really, like, it's music I listen to. It's not just whatever is on the top 100s on Billboard that day, and then they check to see if it fits a demographic. No. It felt like they actually cared and put thought into it, and it's a really good soundtrack. Another thing in this show is that it kind of exposes how, I guess, not class, but like money, and how in high school it's very apparent who has money and who doesn't, and how Victor is going to this school where people are pretty rich, and there's one scene where he kind of goes in the lunchroom, and people are like wearing like nice bags, and there's food, like sushi, food. There's food in the school, yeah, but there's sushi, which is like more of an expensive thing, and what people are wearing, like their watch and stuff. And as someone who grew up in like a wealthy town, like where there's a lot of tourism and there's a lot of wealth for agriculture, I'm just gonna put, that's the broad term. Someone who grew up around a lot of wealthy, like really, really wealthy peers, that scene made me feel like I was back in high school, because I felt that way. When I look at other people at my high school and what they would be wearing and what they would just so casually be wearing, and like a Gucci belt and stuff, and it made me feel like I was back in high school. And I feel like for me, the money aspect of how you can tell a lot in high school who has money and who doesn't, and like everyone in between. And a lot of people at my school had a lot of money, and it was just super easy to tell when someone like pulls up in their Mercedes, or someone without like recognizing that that's really expensive. I'm gonna move on to the characters on, a little bit more positivity, right? So, Victor, the actors in this show were like really good. Victor is our main character. He's cool. Like, I really like Victor. He's very likable. He comes off to not be awkward in like the typical way. He's awkward a little bit in a normal way. Everyone's a little bit awkward, and I saw a lot of myself in Victor, because he was awkward, like the normal amount of awkward that you are at whatever age he is, right? And it didn't come off as like, oh, I'm so shy, I'm so, don't pay attention to me. Like, it came off as, I'm trying my best, and I just want to say the right thing. And most kids, most teenagers, most people are like that, where they just want to say the right thing. And sometimes when you're like my age, or a little bit younger, like in the show, you're trying to figure out like who you are. You're trying to figure out what the right thing is and what the right thing for you to say is. So, yeah. And then we have Felix. And I didn't really like Felix. I thought he was kind of like a super obsessed fanboy for like most of the cast. And he's Henry Danger, bruh. He's Henry Danger. And it was just so weird to see Henry Danger as like this obsessive kind of fanboyish. And then throughout the series, he seems less and less like that as we get more context for his personality, especially the episode where with Lake, how he is at Lake's house and then he hides under the couch because Lake's mom comes home. And Lake basically has this really weird interaction with her mom because she has this really weird interaction with her mom. And it exposes a lot of, like, their relationship, like, Lake's and her mom's relationship, and how it's kind of not a good relationship, right? And because basically her mom bought all these clothes for her and is, like, kind of telling her, like, she wants her to be this way instead of, like, loving Lake for who she is and, like, what she wants to wear, all that. And Felix hears this conversation, and then Lake doesn't really want to talk to him and about it, and then Felix takes Lake to his house and shows Lake his situation and how his mom is depressed and hoards things, and how he lives in this house that's, like, really, really cramped because there's all this stuff in there. And to make Lake feel more comfortable about how he learned this stuff about her and now she knows this stuff about him. Super sweet, right? And then Felix wants to go to the dance with Lake, and I think the reason that they broke up was because up till this point, Lake has not really wanted to go public with their relationship because she's scared what other people will think, which is so stupid in high school. Who are you even referring to? Like, this whole, like, as if there's a food chain in high school. No one gives a crap who you're dating. Like, who would know? Like, your main friend, Mia, is dating his best friend. So who cares? Like, who are you worried about? Like, whose opinion? I don't get it. I don't get that, but whatever. For her, it means something that, to her, it means something. So Felix wants to go to dance with her, and she still doesn't want to go public with the relationship, so he breaks up with her. I think that's the right storyline. I think so. And Felix is, like, he stands his ground. Like, he's tolerated up to this point because he really liked her, and he's like, look, I have enough self-respect to know I deserve better, and I really liked that. And now we're gonna move on to Victor's sister, Pilar. Am I saying that right? I love her. The scene, that's my fridge. The scene where Pilar is, like, wearing a Billie Eilish shirt, which I have. 1 second. I have this shirt. And, anyway, I just thought that was funny. And it's a Hot Topic shirt, right? It's not, merch you find online. So she went to Hot Topic, which is a store that people in my demographic go to. And it's a Billie Eilish shirt who I love. I love Billie. And this scene where the mom's like, I don't want grandma knowing you listen to that devil music, like, turn it off, or whatever that scene was. I loved that scene, and I like that they mentioned Billie and all that. The sister, Pilar, I love her. I love her attitude. She does get her nose into a lot of things that she shouldn't, but it's also, her being nosy is, like, part of the plot, is a big part of the plot, because it leads to, like, other people being more suspicious, and for her, she finds out other people's secrets, and yeah, I really like her. I like her swag, I like her charisma. Whoever the actor is, girl, you need a raise. And whoever the actor is, the actress, I hope she, like, gets more screen time in the next season, just because in this season, a lot of it had to do with her relationship with her boyfriend back in Texas and all that. So, yeah. The parents of Victor were interesting. They seem to want the best for their kids, but they also move their kids a super long way away because of the trouble they got themselves into, which is a little, that's a little weird. It's understandable, I guess. I mean, I haven't really been in that situation. My family, my nuclear family, I guess you would call it, my mom, my dad, and I, we have never been a singular unit. We have always been split apart. So for me, when in a show I see parents having like a hard time communicating or yelling or fighting, or what's the word? Like when they say we're gonna separate or we're divorcing or whatever, it doesn't really hit home for me just because my parents have technically always been separated since I can remember. And like, I don't have memories of them in the same room, like, getting along. So, yeah, like, it's just something I can't personally relate to. I get that a lot of other people can because divorce is, like, a very common thing in the United States, at least. I like how Victor would have this... I get that it's part Simon's dialogue, but he would make a mistake, and then a few seconds later, he would be like, he would turn around and realize, no, that's the wrong thing to do. I need to be myself. I need to speak my truth. Just because that does happen in real life. It doesn't happen days later sometimes. Sometimes it happens right then where you say something, and then right away you're like, no, and then you speak your truth. And that does happen, and it was done in a way where it felt natural and not forced, like, because I could just easily say, well, he did this one thing, and then a few seconds later he did something else, but in the way they did it, it felt natural and it felt real, so I really appreciated that. Now, we're gonna get into the things I don't like. I don't know what you didn't like, but Simon, like, DMs with Victor over, I guess, Instagram, and it's just kind of weird. Like, I don't really, there's not like an explanation for it other than we're told Victor is DMing Simon because they went to the same high school and Simon is out and Victor is not, and Victor needs some help, right? And I don't know, something about that felt a little bit forced because I feel like they could have done this spin-off without even Simon in the picture, and it would have been better. I feel like they don't need this added element to it. I just thought it was kind of, not stupid, I just thought it was, it detracted instead of added to the plot, in my opinion. I get that Victor is getting help and advice from Simon. It's just kind of different because, as I said before, this show kind of exposes Love, Simon, like that movie, for how Simon had accepting parents and Victor doesn't really know if he has accepting parents, and like it exposes the different situations that Simon and Victor have and how everyone who comes out has a different experience coming out and how they just have different experiences. Everyone who comes out doesn't have the same story that, like, oh, I went through this trial and I figured out that I was gay and I came out and that was it. No, everyone has a different story within. Everyone has different troubles. Everyone has different successes. Everyone has a different story. So I liked that it had that, I guess, comparison aspect. But at the same time, I don't like that we have to... They could have done that without having Simon there. You know what I mean? But, that's just how it is, I guess. When Victor went to New York, I already talked about that, but I didn't like that just because it's the same problem. I don't like that Simon was even mentioned, you know? And the adults, another thing that was kind of a trope, or is becoming a trope in teen media, is adults dumb. Or adults don't know teen lingo, or adults, you know what I mean? Or they overshare. Like, there's a couple of scenes from actresses that I like the mother has this scene where she doesn't know what FOMO is. And she says mofo, like, because the daughter was talking about how she was missing out on something or whatever, and like she was watching videos of people at a Billie Eilish concert, which I've done, and the mother says that is called mofo, and it's like everyone knows what that stands for. That stands for motherfucker, you know what I mean? It doesn't stand for, like, I get that's the opposite, like mofo, FOMO, like, but adults know it's FOMO, and they definitely know what mofo is. Like, what? And then just a few seconds later, she starts, like, talking about, like, really adult topics, and it's just like, bruh, we know that you know what FOMO and mofo mean, we whatever. And then there's another scene with the teacher when she overshares about a relationship thing when they're in detention or whatever, and she says, you guys can go, I'm gonna go home, and it's, like, alluded to that she's gonna have sex with her boyfriend that took her back or something. And she doesn't say that, but it's just, like, an overshare. And then, like, a episode earlier, she, like, got on the bully. I didn't even talk about the bully. He's a bully, but he's not. And it's just like you got upset at him for making a joke, but then that was inappropriate, like, but then you overshare about this later. Like, it's kind of hypocritical, so. Yeah, the bully, what's his name? It's gonna bother me. Andrew! I liked Andrew. Like, he wasn't the typical bully where, like, he wasn't the typical bully. He was, when he made the GoFundMe for Victor, when he wanted to be on the basketball team because it cost $500 to be on the team. That was, that, to me, that was a really intense scene. And I don't understand how, like, this is, again, how I talk about, like, money and, like, all this stuff before, where, like, do you not understand, like, how insulting that is to make a GoFundMe for someone? Like, that's just insane to me that someone had the audacity to do that. That's insane. And that's the, like, 2020 version of bullying, you know? It's not, there's an outdated version of bullying, and then there's now. Like, you can bully someone in tons of different ways now that just weren't available before. But eventually, over time, he seems to not necessarily redeem himself, but he becomes more likable. And he doesn't, like, he likes Mia. I feel like him and Mia would be a good couple. And Mia just doesn't want to admit it for some reason. I don't really know why. Like, she wants to be like, oh, I deserve the nice guy, but I don't want the nice guy. The nice guy being Victor. And then I don't like how she gets upset at Victor for not wanting sex and not, like, being uncomfortable, because she gets upset at him, like, and right away she's like, you know, like, not completely right away, but eventually she's like, yeah, I'm not mad at you, like, do whatever you want when you're ready, but at the same time, like, she got, like, upset at him for not wanting to do those things. Like, she was upset, and that rubbed me the wrong way, because it's like, if someone's not ready, they're not ready. And then if you want it now and they don't, then I guess you guys should, like, break up because you guys want different things. Like, to me, it's as simple as that. And I don't, understand why she doesn't get, like, that he doesn't want to do these things, so that was kind of weird. But him and, we're gonna talk about oh, I forgot about Benji, bruh! I really like Benji. I really like him and Victor together. And I hope in the next season we get to see their relationship unfold and we get to see how they work with each other. I want to know, like, I like how he had the trope of, like, sharing a room together, and Victor lied about that, and they stayed in a room and, like, had to share a bed. Like, that's such a trope, and I actually like that trope. Trash. I'm trash. I get it, but anyway, I thought that was interesting. And I did, like, we know that something's gonna happen. And Benji did the right thing. Like, he didn't tell his boyfriend. He should have told him. But, like, Benji gets mad at Victor and is like, I need to distance myself from you, when Benji knows that he has, like, a thing for Victor. Like, he knows, and that's, like, part of the reason why he distances himself from Victor, because he knows that he likes Victor. Let's just be real here, okay? And he just hasn't admitted it to himself, and he finally does, but at the same time, like, Benji seems to get really, like, mad at Victor, when in reality, like, you kind of led him on a little bit, and Victor's just trying to figure himself out, and you're there, and you know who you are, and you kind of lead him on. Like, you can't deny that you lead him on a little bit, so, and then you get really mad. Just saying. So, that's the end of my video. I'll talk to you guys later. I hope you guys watch this show. If you watched it, let me know in the comments how you felt about it, because I genuinely like hearing what you guys have to say. I do read the comments, and I do respond. So let me know how you think about it. If you haven't watched it, please watch it. Get the Hulu free trial, okay? Okay, just to watch the show like I did. Alright, I'll see you guys later. Bye.